Well, welcome to Boon or Bust, where we unpack technology's promises and pitfalls for modern business leaders. I'm Peter Hind, and I'm joined by my long-term sparring partner, or would that be punchbag, and fellow analyst, Mr. Matthew Boon.
Thank you, Peter. So I'm Muhammad Ali, am I, or George Foreman? Which one do you want me to be today?
Well, I'll let you be Muhammad Ali. He won more bouts.
Okay, well, I'll dance around like a butterfly and sting like a bee for the next 10 minutes, Peter. But seriously, great to be here as we really want to get into the sort of introduction of Boon or Bust, where we're going to talk about making digital transformation real. It's kind of a new mini-series, Peter, I think, bringing together our collective thoughts and insights gathered over many years of working together, working as analysts and engaging with technology leaders as we manage across, today's technology minefield of AI, cloud transformation, so many other things.
There's a lot of terms in there, and I'm sure some of our listeners are saying, oh God, not another technology bloody podcast about all this stuff. But what we want to talk about really, what's missing. And in most businesses today, what's missing is a true digital transformation, the kind that delivers results and not just tick box innovation.
I like that, the tick box innovation. I mean, so many organizations I talk to, Peter, really are just going through the motions. We should do this or we should do that. And, we've seen billions spent, literally billions around the world, countless pilot projects launched when it comes to digital transformation. We've seen them succeed, we've seen them fail, but at the end of the day, productivity, which remains that elusive kind of goal, if you like, to improve, remains stagnant. Innovation at best is flat within Australia, and indeed many other nations in the industrial world are struggling to really accelerate innovation in this digitally transformed world as well. And I think at the end of the day, we're now seeing CEOs and even the boards, Peter, saying, where's the value? You spent all this money. Where is the value coming from this?
Well, it actually makes them quite anxious. When KPMG did a study of what keeps CEOs awake at night, it's actually the digital transformation of their business. So basically, we want to impress on people that is an achievable goal for you. You can do it. But this is not then that technology is broken, Matt. It's not that this thing doesn't work. The challenge is, how do we affect the change management so we're using it right, so that people feel it's an asset to them, not a hindrance to them, that their expectations are realistic and not just overambitious. And that's the focus of this series. We're going to break down digital transformation into 4 critical phases, because real change doesn't come from just a new tool, does it, Matt? It comes from a new approach, a new mindset, a new way of working.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there, Peter, as well, because it really is as much about the mindset as about the technology. And it was actually I think the group CIO of Bupa said some time ago globally that the real sort of digital transformation challenge was the people, not the technology. And I think if you kind of peel that back a bit, if we sort of think about it, the term digital transformation, it's one of those technology terms that has been absolutely flogged to death. You can't open a newspaper, a magazine, online, or have a conversation without somebody wanting to talk to you about digital transformation in general. However, we still believe in it. And I think at the end of the day, if it is done right, if it's done for the right reasons, for the right purpose, and the right outcomes, we really can deliver the change, not just within technology, but within our overall business. It's about transforming the business if we do it right.
But you've got to bring people on that journey, Matt. You can't railroad them to embrace new technology. You've got to answer the question, what's in it for me? And what we saw, go back 4 years ago to the height of COVID, this digital technology kept organizations running. We saw that customers embrace it. We saw that there was a new way of working. We saw that we could drive efficiencies. We've got to remember those lessons and drive them forward.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you talk about the people and we talk about COVID in general. And we saw the ability for organizations to literally turn on their sort of people and the processes almost overnight, thanks to technology. Yet right now, in this current environment, there's almost a pullback from that, that capability as well, Peter, for many.
People think about the good old days, but it wasn't the good old days. People want to work from home. They want the ability to service something 24/7. That's what the digital world offers you.
Absolutely. So how are we going to approach this, Peter? You know, we're here to talk about many, many things. We've got to break it down a little bit. But what's the kind of plan for the next few episodes?
We're going to tackle this, Matt, through 4 conversations, and each one of them is focused on a core stage of the digital transformation journey.
Okay, so episode 1 is where we're going to really think about the productivity paradox, because you made the point earlier on, I kind of reinforced it as well, is that productivity improvements remain elusive at best. We see now that things like AI are really driving an expectation that we can improve productivity and free our people up. So with the kind of scene set, Peter, it's great that we're now going to break out into those several episodes, starting with episode 1, the productivity paradox.
Yes, what we're going to look at, why is it that the 4 richest men in the world all made their fortunes from technology, and yet productivity over the last 20 or 30 years in Australia has barely moved? Why, if this technology was going to make organizations so much more operationally effective and efficient, haven't we been able to deliver results? So then in episode 2, we're going to move to the foundation. So we've got this way of working, and then we're going to modernize for transformation. Because let's be honest, if you're still running legacy systems today, there's no AI that's going to happen in those organizations effectively. Your data is going to be fragmented in lots of different places. You've got to get in a modern world to build this transformation.
Okay, so we kind of then build on that as we move through to episode 3, which will be forthcoming as well. I think this is when we really want to pull back the curtain. I think on one of those other key areas of focus for many, but also I'm sure a key challenge for many, and that is the area of integration, which in many ways is, if you like, the unsung hero of transformation. We can't transform if we're not integrating effectively within our organizations, which I'm sure many of our viewers would hopefully agree with us as we go through this today. Because ultimately, if nothing talks to each other, you haven't digitally transformed. You've built a digital spaghetti bolognese, Peter.
Well, and you've got a lovely analogy, I love, Matt, about the conductor of the orchestra. If all those people playing different instruments aren't in tune and walking together, you just get a cacophony of noise. Really, you've got to get harmony. You've got to get things together. You've got to integrate them. And then from there, we're going to go on for building for change. And here's a spoiler alert for you. A digital transformation is not a final product. You don't get to a destination. This is a constant journey. You've got to evolve your business environment to deal with every new change, new legislation from the government, new circumstances in your industry, some compliance responsibility. You've got to evolve your business systems to embrace that way of working. That's where adaptability, modular design, and cultural agility come in.
So you mentioned earlier on, Peter, that, the classic what's in it for me, or if you like, what's in it for you, watching us here today. And obviously we're talking very much about a lot of technology issues, but at the end of the day, as you mentioned, digital transformation is a collective challenge across the organization, right up to the CEO. You mentioned that that's the number one thing keeping CEOs awake at night right now is digital transformation. So if you're a CEO or indeed a business leader tuning in to listen to Peter and I, here's what we want you to know and we want you to think about. You don't have to speak fluently to technology. We talk about CEOs and boards lacking digital awareness, lacking digital sort of technical capability. This isn't what this is about. You don't need that in the digital world, but you do need to own the transformation. Successful digital transformation is a team sport driven from the top, from the CEO, from the board, driving what the outcomes and expectations are from that transformation.
Now, this is going to be a confronting statement to make, but what Matt is saying, as for you as the CEOs, your organizations today are digital companies. The world we're living in the 21st century is going to be driven by technology, digital technology. You've not got to push back at that like King Canute and the waves. You've got to actually say, hey, this is the world I need to create. And we don't want you to think about the technology and how the technology works, but we want you to have a vision. How could your organization be different? What could you do? What processes do you do today that maybe you could optimize, refine, streamline? That's what technology does for you. Your thinking has to be, how can we make my organization do things in a different way?
Great points, Peter, because ultimately, I think you're going to make the point that, technology, it's not a department anymore. We tend to think about, technology being this department. They own all the technology focus, all the environments around that. But what's your thoughts around that, Peter?
Well, basically, we're seeing technology, it's the nervous system of your organization. It is the thing that nervous system drives the human body forward. Technology drives a business forward. And the faster we realize that, the faster you're going to unlock true value, because you're thinking through a mindset, how can technology improve this activity that we do? Because the reality is, nobody's standing still in this world. If you think we can carry on doing things as we've done in the past, you're going to be disrupted by those people around you. But the faster you embrace it, that's when you're going to unlock true value and make your organizations even more relevant.
Okay, and this Boon or Bust sort of series is really designed to help you get there. We want to work with you. We want to help you achieve that value from the investments around digital transformation and all the associated components that you're making in that day. But we want to do that really with clarity, not complexity. There's so much complexity out there. There's a digital mess, as we talked about. So we're going to commit to you no tech jargon, no fluff, just real conversations about what it takes to move from, if you like, buzzwords to bottom line impact. And Peter, what's our commitment to the team?
What we're going to offer you is the technology gobbledygook clanger. So the first time...
I think we need a big gobbledygook clanger for that, Peter.
We'll ring a bell when we hear that thing. So the first listener who hears us use some jargonistic term that means nothing to you, then you can call us out and we will give $50 to the charity of your choice. That's coming out of our bottom dollars. We are walking the talk here. We want to do this in plain English, and we want you to embrace the reality of how a digital transformation is going to make your organizations even better.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, technology shouldn't be cryptic. It shouldn't be a foreign language. I think tech providers in general do a fantastic job of making technology as complicated and as complex as possible. Because at the end of the day, that means you spend more money with them.
Well, man, I think it's done deliberate. I'm sorry to be a cynic here. I think if you talk in a term that nobody understands, the other person feels beholden to you for advice. So if you make it simple, then suddenly you're empowering the other person to understand something and maybe push back if they want to.
Yeah. So ultimately, what we want to do over the next sort of few series is help you, navigate or deliver on digital transformation with confidence rather than confusion.
So what's next?
What's next indeed, Peter? We're going to have our first episode, which is around the productivity paradox, where we're really going to sort of unpack why so many digital transformation initiatives have ultimately failed to deliver, almost failed to launch in many ways, I think, Peter.
Well, and Matt, as you're talking there, you think of the amount of money that's been spent and the amount of frustration because careers are on the line here. I'm thinking from the point of view of an IT executive in an organization who's championing a new way of working, who's getting the business to invest monies and nothing's being realized. That person's going to feel very vulnerable in an organization. But the reality is, we don't want those people to fail. We want those people to succeed, and we want to help them do that. So remember, as I said, this isn't about technology for tech's sake. We're not going to talk about the latest and greatest to try and impress you. It's about connecting your data, your people, and your purpose to unlock intelligence at scale.
So with that scene setter, if you like, welcome officially to Boon or Bust. The inaugural episodes will be following as we go through the challenges, if you like, and indeed complexities, and hopefully help you collectively get some solutions to those challenges that you're facing.